Hello, my friends. God bless each and every one of you. It is an extremely hot 21st day of July 2019. It is Sunday afternoon. We are again in triple digits here in the mid-Atlantic. And I hope wherever you are, if you're in this region, I hope you're inside in the air condition. Although the air condition is chugging and trying to keep it even somewhat cool because it is so hot outside. As my pastor said this morning, if you think it's hot now, just imagine what hell is like if you're not saved, because this ain't nothing. He's right, this ain't nothing. I want to talk about something that I believe is destroying this nation. I want to talk about something I believe is destroying people in general, and that is hatred. You know, the Bible speaks very in depth about hatred, about how it can destroy not only yourself but others. Today in the United States, we're seeing this nation being divided. That is the devil's game. First, before you conquer a nation, you must divide a nation. And we are seeing a nation today divided between races, divided between religious beliefs, divided between sexual orientation, divided between everything you can possibly imagine. They have made a division. And you're either on their side, or if you're not, you're hated. Immensely hated. We're seeing groups that are going out and having prayer vigils. People peacefully getting together and praying for this nation. They are being physically attacked. They were first being verbally attacked. Now they are at the point where they are being physically attacked. And the sad part about it is the police officers in these towns are told to stand down and let these godly men and women be viciously attacked with lead pipes, crowbars, their fists, whatever they got. They throw all kinds of disgusting things on them, urine. I mean, I don't even want to go into all the stuff that these groups do, but you know, this is what is to be expected in the end times. The Bible has a lot to say about hate. Believe it or not, it really does. So let's start with 1 John chapter 4, verse 20, and it goes, "If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen?" Think about that for a second. For he that loveth not his brother, meaning if you don't even love your brother whom you have seen, okay, that's what it's saying. How can you love God whom you have not seen? I think that is absolutely spot on. If there ever was a spot on, that is spot on. Proverbs 10:12. Proverbs is an absolutely wonderful book of the Bible. And we're going to go to chapter 10, verse 12. "Hatred stirreth up strifes." We're seeing that in the streets of America. "But love covereth all sins." That is what we're not seeing in America, is love. Jesus is love. Sadly, too many turn their back on Jesus. Too many despise Jesus. And it amazes me. They despise someone they don't even know, someone they don't even want to get to know. But they hear that name, Jesus Christ, and they just fill with rage and hatred. You know why? Because they're filled with demonic spirits. You know, devils hate the name Jesus Christ. Demons hate the name Jesus. They cower before that name, Jesus Christ. 1 John 3:15, "Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him." The last one I'm going to read is Proverbs again, 6:16. "These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him." My friends, hatred will destroy your life quicker than alcoholism, quicker than drug addiction. Hatred will eat you up from the inside out. It will turn your heart like a lump of coal. You will have no love. You will be miserable. I give you an example of these people today that are attacking Christians and conservatives out in these streets of America and any town USA. Just turn your television on. Look at these people. They are so filled with hate. So filled with rage. You cannot even have a conversation with them. When a Christian comes up and tries approaching them in a loving manner, okay, you can't even have a conversation with them because they are so filled with the devil's rage of hatred, with vile, disgusting hatred. You cannot talk sensibly to these people that hate. Hate destroys, and hate is going to destroy America unless America turns back to God Almighty. You know, this all started, this hatred towards Christianity, this all started in the late 1960s when, as my pastor brought up this morning, Madalyn Murray O'Hair started with her lawsuits to remove prayer from school and her lawsuits to remove the Bible and actually to remove anything of any mentioning of Jesus Christ within our school. As I mentioned last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, there was a young girl in middle school that wore a Christian t-shirt to class. They suspended her for wearing a Christian t-shirt to class. Let that sink in. As I said a couple videos ago, we have kids going to school today with these t-shirts of these bands that are so demonic. They got upside down crosses on them, 666 on them, pentagrams, devils, demons, fire. Just the most disgusting. That's perfectly fine because little Johnny and little Susie is just expressing their musical interest in the arts. That's all they're doing. But let a little girl or a little boy wear a shirt, like I said in my other video about Jesus Christ. That's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. We can't have that. No, 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 no. That's terrible. No, we have to suspend that. We don't want anybody seeing that name, Jesus Christ. That's where we're at. And this started in the 1960s, the mid-late 60s. And he briefly mentioned something this morning that I happen to know a little bit about, and that was Apollo 8. If you're not really into the NASA and the whole space, moonshot race of the 1960s, Apollo was the program that was going to eventually put man on the moon. And Apollo 8 was a lunar orbit mission, meaning that it was going to the moon, but it was not going to land on the moon. It was going to orbit the lunar moon, meaning it was going to do circles basically around the moon. That was what it was going for. It was just to see, make sure to test the systems that we could not only get to the moon, but we could get into orbit around the moon. It was the next step into getting Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins and Apollo 11 to actually be able to land on the moon. Albeit Michael Collins did not land on the moon. He stayed up in the command capsule and he did lunar orbits while Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong went to the moon. See, I know all this crazy stuff about the space race in the 1960s. I was just fascinated with it. I was not born, sadly, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon. I was a little bit short before that, but I was not born. I did not get to see it, but I've seen it many times after. Anyways, Apollo 8, they went to the moon in Christmas of 1968. And Frank Borman was the commander of that mission. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong because there's so much to remember about this. I believe Jim Lovell was one of the other ones on that actual shot. It was either that or Wally Schirra. But anyways, Jim Lovell was the gentleman that was on the famous Apollo 13 mission that did not make it to the moon. That got about halfway there. And they had that famous saying of his, "Houston, we have a problem." Again, I digress. Again, I can just ramble on and on about this. Anyways, he was reading, it was Christmas time, and he opened the Bible and started reading Genesis chapter 1, where God created, the earth, the heavens and the earth. And where it says in the beginning, God created. He started with that, and each astronaut would read. Frank Borman started reading it. He read a little bit of Genesis 1, and then he would hand it to the next astronaut, and all three of them read a passage out of Genesis. And Madalyn Murray O'Hair went and actually sued NASA for that, for those three astronauts reading the first book of the Bible, on the broadcast. Now, I believe personally that's where all of this began. It was in the mid to late 60s with the uprise of the hippie movement, the drug culture. I've done in-depth videos on this where we're at today. I've done videos where I believe it began in that time. But this just goes to show you this isn't something that's just happened now in 2019. It's progressed over the years. This hatred has built up over the years towards Jesus, towards Christians, towards Christianity. And I'm telling you, folks, read my lips. Hatred is going to send you straight to hell. Now, if you're a Christian and you have a problem with this, then you need to ask the Lord to deliver you. I have asked the Lord, because a lot of these politicians on the other side over there that hate me because I love Jesus, and they want to stop me from being able to read my Bible. They want to stop me from being able to talk to people about Jesus Christ like this platform. It's hard not to be upset or angered by that. I mean, I'm a human being. We all are. It's hard not to be upset. Let's be serious. I mean, I'm not acting like I'm some perfect, person here. There was only one that walked this earth in perfection, and that was Jesus. But anyways, we need to pray. We need to ask the Lord to deliver us, to guide us away from that hatred, because you can easily get caught up into that, and before you know it, you've replaced the love of Christ in your heart with the devil's hatred. And believe me, that is something you don't want. So, before I go, I just want to ask that you would pray for these people that go out on them street corners and pray for this nation. They gather together. These people get physically and verbally assaulted. They get things thrown at them, like I said. They get hit with crowbars, anything you can imagine. These people, the media will not talk about it. They will not show you. Very rarely will they, but this is happening all the time. Alternative media is where you'll get your truthful news from, and they report on this in heavy rotation. Have a wonderful Sunday evening. Take care of yourself. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.